What's up, everybody? It's a late night here at the hangar. I'm riding solo. Rachel and the pups are in bed right now because it's almost midnight. It's all about wheels and tires tonight, and what you have to do to run big wheels and tires on a 2019 plus Mercedes Sprinter. Ours is a four-wheel drive version, but specifically I'm going to show you how to install a Van Compass big tire Mudflap relocation kit and what tools you'll need and little tips and tricks that I learned on this side here. Let's get to it. So to start off, I want to give you an idea of the tools that you're going to be using for this project. I've laid mine out kind of nice and neat for you, and I'll go through them real quick. So I have my PPE, of course, gloves, glasses. You probably want a long sleeve shirt when you're cutting. This is one thing that I think comes in handy, is something soft to kneel on or sit on. This is actually mini cell foam that we used on our flooring. So it was just an extra piece. It works great. Your breaker bar with a 19mm socket. That's for your lug nuts. And then I've got my marker and my adjustable ruler with a right angle, which you're going to use to make your measurements and your lines for your cuts. I've got painter's tape just to help prevent some sparks and stuff and make sure I don't cut the paint or anything. And then I've got my screwdriver, which if you have like a special tool for pulling like plastic clips for body panels, that's great, but the screwdriver is what I'm going to use in today to pull those little clips for the fender liner. I have my cutting tool, which is going to be a jigsaw, and it works really well on this. I stuck with kind of a longer blade. And then I have my impact drill with a T25 Torx head and a 10mm socket. I have my grinder with 3 different wheels. I have a sanding wheel that's 80 grit, a cutting wheel, and a grinding wheel. And then I have my files as well, so after I make my cuts, I'll file it, make sure it's clean and nice. I'll go over after that with a microfiber towel and some alcohol, clean that up, and prep it for Rust-Oleum paint to prevent the rust from happening. And you're probably wondering what the heck that thing is, and I'll show you here in a second. So here is the factory setup. You can see the gap there. And I will make my way over to the other side that I have done. Don't mind my mess. But you can tell there's a big difference in the clearance. So moves it back pretty far. And I think we're going to be able to fit those 18-inch wheels and 265 tires. Okay, so this is where that crazy tool is going to come into play. What's going to happen is I'm going to use this claw to get this thing off, this hubcap, because it's the only thing you can use. I'm just kidding. The only reason I'm using this crazy tool is because it has a T on the end of it. And you can use anything that has a T that will fit in one of these holes here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert the T into the hole and push up, pry up. And it comes off just like that. So, all right, let's get the van jacked up. All right, I wanted to get you an idea, if you didn't know where to put the jack. I'm just on the suspension arm here, and you can see right in this area there's a triangle. There's this hole here, and then this nut here, or bolt. And I'm going to be putting, I have a hockey puck on my, my floor jack here. I'm going to be putting that hockey puck right in this area. And all we're going to be doing is just lifting the van up enough, just enough to get the tire off the ground. And I've already, don't forget to break your lug nuts loose before you lift the van up, because Mercedes actually, man, they crank those suckers down. I haven't looked at the torque spec yet on the lug bolts, but man, using a breaker bar, you have to use a breaker bar. So, forewarning, if you did not know that. So, I'm just gonna go up here, like I said, just to where the van, just the wheel comes off the ground. So, and y'all don't need to see that. So I'm gonna cut to the next thing. Now I've got the wheel off the ground. I've got a jack stand under there as well, just for some redundancy. And I also wanted to show you, this is a good idea too to have if you're lifting something up. Just put some wheel chocks on the back. That way, it's just a little extra safety. That's just the car guy in me, I guess. But, all right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull that wheel off, and I will show you what to do for removing your fender liner. So looking in the fender well of the van now, there's two separate liners. There's a front and a back. And unless you're doing the major trimming that Van Compass recommends for running bigger, like giant tires, I think like 35s or something, I don't think you need to remove the front. So I'm just gonna remove the rear, and I'll show you what needs to be removed for that. There's the 10mm nuts. There's one up top, there's one here, there's one here, here, one underneath, don't forget that one, and then two T25 Torx bolts, and those need to be removed, and then that whole liner will come out. And then there's also a bracket underneath for the mud flap that you'll need to remove. So, all right, let's get that done. All right, so in that short little time lapse, these are the things that I pulled off. I pulled the mud guard off, the bracket that was underneath it, and the fender liner. And these little boxes come in handy. I like to put all like nuts and bolts that I pull off of something during a project. That way I can stay organized and not lose anything, because I'm pretty good at that. And Rachel is not here tonight to make sure I don't lose anything. Quick look at the wheel well without a fender liner, and you are going to actually pull these off. They just slide off, and you're going to save those for later because we're going to reuse them. Okay, so I've made my line for my cut. I'll show you how to do that real quick. So I got the little adjustable ruler with the right angle, and per Van Compass's instructions, you go down to the bottom of the fender, you measure 1.5 inches in, and then you come up here to this flange, and you're going to continue that angle right there and bring it around to the front. And then that's going to be your mark. You're going to want to connect those two marks together. And what I did is I got the mud guard and just used it as a template for my marker. Went down. Works really well. And then once you make that, you also want to continue that line all the way down to that pinch weld underneath, because you're going to cut that too. So I've got my eye protection and my gloves on, so I'm going to go ahead and start cutting away. All right, so while my paint dries, I'm showing you right now the mud guard. There's a line that I've drawn per Van Compass's instructions. This is what you will trim or cut. And I don't know if you can really see it. It's in Sharpie. It's black on black, so it's hard to see. But I'm going to use just a grinding wheel, or a cutting wheel on my grinder, and make that cut real quick. So this is what it looked like after I cut it. It's kind of hard to see in the instructions from Van Compass, but this right here, that needs to be cut as well. So let me do that real quick. All right, I think my paint's dry now. So what we're gonna do is, I've got the bracket that comes in your kit. The wide part is at the top. And you'll see how that works here in a second. So, and you remember those little clips I told you to save? These are gonna slide onto this bracket like so. Get my glove caught in there. You line them up with those holes there. And this bracket is gonna go in this section here. And you see that it actually follows the contour pretty nicely. And what's gonna happen is we're going to set 3 of the self-tapping screws in these holes here, these 3 holes. And then once those are done, we'll be able to eventually put everything back in that bracket here. This part is what your mud flap will actually attach to. All right, so I've attached my mud guard to the bracket. Looks like this. And we're just gonna set this in here, kind of get it how we want it, see what it looks like. All right, so what I've done is I've put the liner back in. I left this 10mm nut off just for a little bit of flexibility, because what I'm gonna do is I went ahead and I got my drill, not my impact. And I got a small drill bit. And because this part of the liner is now kind of stretching back a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and make a couple of little pilot holes. I'm gonna line it up with these, and that way I can put my T25 bolt back in and just make it look a little nicer. Now we should be able to kind of line these up, and then they'll go on. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a sec. All right, there it is. Final product without the wheel on. Pretty awesome. And I will say that there's a little bitty gap down there that I'm not too happy about. But I tried to do everything I could to mitigate it, and it's still there. So maybe somebody else has a little trick, but that's all right. Hey, thanks for watching. This was something that I was pretty excited to do because it's a precursor to something that's really exciting, and that's the wheels and tires. So with me being a car guy at heart, wheels and tires is such a big deal, especially 3-piece forged wheels. So I do want to pass on some information after doing this. Definitely, if you're taking on this project, the specific installation, make sure that your battery is charged on your jigsaw, because whenever it's not, your jigsaw is just going to be inefficient. The blade's going to bounce, you're losing power, and also make sure that it's a fresh blade every time you do a new cut. Like, I use the same blade that I used on the other side, and I should have known better. And like, even with these windows that we did, I used a new blade on every window. So just wanted to pass that on, and hopefully it helps you out. Another thing is, I'm videoing all these things and I'm trying to pass this on, but I will say videoing takes a long time. It just adds so much time to a project, and I can't even imagine like the people that vlog for a living, or you know, like Survivor Man. Whenever he does his show, he sets his camera down and he goes off and does something and goes back to his camera. It's crazy. So especially by myself. Usually I have Rachel here, and she helps out with some of the videoing, and bless her heart, she has to deal with me redoing retake and retakes. I mess up. But anyways, these are just little things I wanted to pass on. So thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe. And I'm gonna go to bed now because it is 3 a.m. So peace.